national needs.
All southern states given 3 months ultimatum to end Boko Haram insurgency, just as Nigerian Air Force deploys additional aircraft to Yola, Adamawa State to contain the menace. And Nigeria and Niger Republic still deal to boost socio-economic status through international trade. It's good to have you join us on NTA International News. I'm Taiwo Odubeson. President Muhammadu Buhari has challenged the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, to play a catalytic role for industrial revolution in Nigeria. At a meeting with officials of the agency, the President said enabling knowledge-driven environment must be created for mass production of standard parts, goods and services locally towards boosting the nation's technological advancement. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
With President Muhammadu Buhari as the chairman governing board of NASENI, the interaction with officials of the agency was more like a board meeting. On display was some of the finished products of the agency in support of the development of power, agriculture and educational sectors of the economy.
This is what is produced in NASENI, and it's not any government that is near equipment. This is what is produced. You ought to be driving some revolution from it.
The Executive Vice Chairman, Professor Muhammad Sani Haruna, briefed the President on the new drive for achieving home-initiated and sustained industrialization through the development of relevant processes, capital goods and equipment for job creation and national economic well-being.
We are intervening in several sectors. Our achievement in power, what we have manufactured so far and what we are doing in terms of small hydro turbines, solar manufacturing facilities, our agricultural implements and processing machines, these are things we have displayed to you among others. We also gave Minister of Finance to look at the issues we presented. Why has it not been achieved? So many other directives that will ensure the industrial revolution of this nation.
President Muhammadu Buhari directed the agency to ensure synergy with relevant MDAs as well as state governments so that matured products can be acquired and put to use in addressing challenges of socio-economic development. President Muhammadu Buhari also granted audience to Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State on a thank-you visit for the appointment of the state indigene as Group Managing Director of the NNPC.
Then beyond that, you are all aware of the gas city project in Delta State after getting the NGS covers, and we thought that we needed to bring it to the knowledge of Mr. President that project, which is a public-private partnership project, is something that would create a lot of jobs for Nigerians, and we thought that there was a need for that project to be given some strength, and we believe that it is in the interest of Nigeria and Delta State.
Things have been done wrongly, things need to be done differently. We're doing a lot of work in terms of repositioning, restructuring, getting the right personnel in the key places, and setting a culture of accountability and service delivery. I think that the new NNPC that you're going to see going forward will be a different institution altogether.
The NNPC boss gave the assurance that with the ongoing revolutionary initiatives in the corporation, President Buhari's dream of taking the oil industry to where it should be will be realized within the next 6 months. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari, while reacting to the security situation in the country, has given the new service chiefs 3 months to end the Boko Haram insurgency in parts of the country. Given the ultimatum while decorating them with their new ranks, the President said government is prepared to provide the needed resources towards achieving the desired objectives. State House correspondent Adamu Sabo again reports.
The new service chiefs decorated with their new ranks were appointed exactly 1 month ago by the President, which according to him, based on their pedigree as first-class senior officers with identified sterling leadership qualities. They include the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Gabriel Olonishakin, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Burutai, the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Eke Ibas, and the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar. President Muhammadu Buhari said although the armed forces have done their best so far in the fight against Boko Haram, a lot more needs to be done in view of the increasing incidents of unwanted destruction of lives and property of citizens, as well as the disruption of socio-economic activities.
We need to brace up and continuously team up with other stakeholders to come up with a well-coordinated joint effort which will bring a desired end to these insurgencies in 3 months.
The President said his effort at mobilizing global support in eliminating insurgency, including the establishment of the multinational joint task force, must be complemented by the armed forces. He however said in doing so, the service chiefs must be accountable for all men and equipment placed under their care.
Your troops' welfare should be uppermost in your mind. Take care of them and make available what is due to them. Concerted efforts should also be made to make judicial use of resources that are available to you in search for solutions to these challenges. On our own part, we shall be ready to give the needed resources to achieve this feat.
President Buhari also called for the reprofessionalization of the forces by giving the troops quality training to enable them perform creditably. Responding on behalf of the service chiefs, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Abayomi Olonishakin, thanked the President for the confidence reposed in them and promised that they will not betray it.
The message for Nigerians is that we are on board and that we will strategize to ensure that the issue of Boko Haram is put to the past and all the menace is dealt with appropriately.
Get back to work and make Nigerians proud.
Get back to work and make Nigerians proud was the final marching order by President Muhammadu Buhari to the new service chiefs. But he equally told them to protect innocent civilians in the theaters of conflict and respect the rights of combatants once they are captured. This is to enable them and the support of local communities and respect of the nation's allies. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And in line with his policy of re-strategizing the fight against insurgency in the country, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, has deployed additional aircraft to the 75 Strike Group Nigeria Air Force Yola. This is to complement the services of the existing Alpha jets and to channel a more proactive way of ending insurgency. Godia Daniel completes the story.
This is the arrival of the 10 additional platforms of aircraft at the Nigerian Air Force Base, Yola. Among them are F-7NI fighter aircraft, combat patrol and attack helicopters, ATR-42 surveillance aircraft, among others. Presenting the aircraft to the 75 Strike Group Nigerian Air Force Yola, Commander 64 Air Defense Group Makurdi Air Commodore Muhammad Adamu Idris says the deployment is in line with the directives of the Chief of Air Staff on the need to continue the fight against insurgency.
We have achieved some degree of success from 2 months back, and the Chief of Staff has confidence of the view that the need for continuity.
Commander 75 Strike Group Yola, who is also the Air Component Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Air Commodore Dayo Amao, expressed optimism that the additional resources will bring about the desired change and assured that insurgency will soon be relegated to the pages of history.
We are here, and I'm sure with the presence of these platforms, I'm sure Boko Haram, they have no idea. They are ready.
This, he says, will be achieved by the combined effort of the Nigerian Air Force and the Army. In Yola, Godia Daniel, NTA News.
And from the National Assembly comes a report that the National Environmental Audit Report on the drying up of Lake Chad and the special report on the periodic checks on the activities and programs of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, for the period of 2008 to 2012 have been submitted to the National Assembly by the Auditor General of the Federation, Mr. Samuel Okura. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nani reports.
A standard audit on the drying up of Lake Chad was carried out in line with the international best practices. Mr. Samuel Okura says Auditors from the Lake Chad Basin Commission countries, including Cameroon, Chad, and the Niger Republic, with counterparts from Nigeria, worked closely to come up with the report. He says the findings of the report shows that Lake Chad, which was about 25,000 square kilometers in 1960, is about 1,500 square kilometers presently, an indication that Lake Chad may dry up if urgent steps are not taken to address the situation, as Nigeria's portion of the lake is greatly affected.
There are farmers, fishermen, and of course they are using water for other activities. And nobody will tell you, the impact of that. So the whole message of this report is that Lake Chad is drying up and it should be saved.
On the activities and programs of the NDDC, the Auditor General says the report and findings are expected to solve the socio-economic challenges of the area. The Auditor General of the Federation also regretted the financial misappropriations in the activities of the Commission, as revealed by the audit report, especially the areas of awarded contracts, tax deductions, and other transactions without appropriate and legitimate approval.
The audit committee also recommended that every fund illegitimately expended on the activities of the Niger Delta Development Commission should be adequately recovered by the relevant authorities. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Manu, NTA News.
Still on the House of the National Assembly, I beg your pardon. The House of Representatives has adopted a motion on the need for the federal government to commence the exploration of water transportation as an alternative mode of transportation in Nigeria. Considering the motion at Thursday's plenary, the House urged the federal government to complete the dredging of Lower Niger River. The House also adopted a motion moved by Representative Nuhu Damburam from Kano State on the urgent need for the House to advise resident doctors at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital Kano to call off their strike. The motion moved by Representative Shehu Saleh from Niger State on the urgent need for the federal government to complete the reconstruction of Kotangura, Rijau, Tujon Magajia Road was also adopted. The viability of re-establishing a national carrier in the Nigerian aviation sector was the crux of discourse on NTA's breakfast program Good Morning Nigeria earlier Thursday. Guests suggested that the government should put in place an optimum operational environment for such airlines to thrive. Abdul Malik Adio reports.
Nigeria loses $2 to $3 billion every year owing to the absence of an existing national carrier, which makes a huge capital flight abroad, thus subjecting the country to no voice in the policy articulation with regards to the aviation matter in Africa. One of the problems we face in this country is the management structure about our airline. Number two is the single ownership. Who owns the airline? Is it the country? Is it some people who put themselves together? Policy for me is the first thing we need to look at to address. How do you set up a national carrier? For me, we have airlines that the government has put taxpayers' money into. About $1.2 billion of Nigeria's money is in about 5 different airlines. That itself is a distortion in the market. And why is that the case? The reason is very simple. Funding of airlines in Nigeria is like using bad money for good business. Speaking about government equity participation, the discussant expressed that no less than 20% ownership should be created by the government to allow for joint ownership. What the government needs to do is to provide what you call the enabling environment and the right policies to ensure that you can grow the national carrier from the perspective of what is the objective of government. What do you want to achieve as a government? Do you want to grow your markets, your economy? Aviation is the key to market access.
Owner manager syndrome, which afflicts our airlines today, has afflicted Nigerian Airways. But having said that, the kind of national carrier we need, government must have equity, but it will be fresh equity. But we don't have a solid carrier here because of the policy. We need a strong environment that will encourage people to invest in this industry.
The discussant also stressed the need for the federal government to give its national backing to consolidate the airline through airspace policy, since it represents the country's interest. In Abuja, Abdul Malik Adio, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has terminated the appointment of the Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority NPA, Alhaji Sanusi Adebayero. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says the termination of Alhaji Bayero's appointment is with immediate effect. He is to hand over the management of the NPA and all government property in his possession to Mr. Habibu Abdullahi, who has been reinstated as Managing Director of NPA by the President. President Buhari wishes Alhaji Bayero well in his future endeavors. The Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, has presented the reportage of 2015 elections to the public. The Special Advisor gave the media thumbs up but says more needs to be done. Correspondent Gabriel Odu has the details. Apologies, the report will be coming on in a subsequent bulletin. Apart from collaborating to address the insecurity along Nigeria-Niger border areas, the two countries have agreed to boost their socio-economic status through international trade. Niger Republic is now to patronize Nigeria seaports for imports and exports of her goods. Musa Baba Aliyu has the details.
In recent years, access to the Nigeria seaports by Niger Republic for imports and exports of goods have been hindered by several challenges, despite the fact that the two countries share an estimated 1,500 kilometers borderline. Even though Nigeria has the capacity to handle the over 3 million metric tons of Niger consignments, it is only Benin and Togo that handles the goods due to differences between Nigeria and Niger on shipments policies.
Terminal operators make the port high charges in Nigeria. That's why our shippers withdraw.
Under the Nigeria-Niger Joint Commission, both countries are expected to remove all barriers for free movement of goods through Nigeria port corridors.
And Nigeria is set to provide safe, efficient corridor to Niger Republic. Nigerian ports have been strategically placed. You could see that the barriers, internal barriers, have been removed by the Nigerian custom. Nigeria is willing and ready and has indeed been helping in this regard.
With this development, the two countries stand to benefit more and save resources in shipping goods, while Nigeria stands to gain from increased patronage of our seaports by landlocked countries. In Abuja, Musa Baba Ali, NTA News.
You are watching the news on NTA International from Abuja, Nigeria. You heard that while decorating the service chiefs with their new ranks, President Buhari has given them a 3-month ultimatum to end Boko Haram insurgency in parts of the country, promising government preparedness to provide needed resources to achieve desired results. Up ahead, more news on prevention of child marriage and consultations for the maintenance of international peace at the UN Security Council after this break.
NTA International.
We told you earlier that the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, has presented the reportage of 2015 elections to the public. The Special Advisor gave the media thumbs up, but says more needs to be done. Correspondent Gabriel Odu has the details.
This is good for the media, and I recommend that every stakeholder, every professional in the media to read this, and it's important that we put it in the hands of everyone so that we learn from what happened at the 2015 elections, and it can improve our profession, it can improve our act. So it's my pleasure to present this book to the glory of God
and for the good of the media profession. That is the formal presentation of the reportage of the 2015 elections, a monthly scorecard of print and online media in Nigeria.
See a lot of work for us, to be done, but that we believe that the Nigerian media and journalists are quite capable of improving their standard of reporting of elections in this country.
Speaking on ethics in reporting, looking into the future, Professor Musa Owens Ige of Caleb University says ethics is in retrogression and should be checked.
The idea is to now come together to look at more inclusive mechanisms for bringing together all the stakeholders and ensuring that individuals who function within the media arena actually implement the letter.
The reportage also recommended equitable coverage of all political parties, gender-responsive coverage, language and hate speech, among others. The reportage of 2015 elections sponsored by the UNDP DG project and other development partners was put together by the Nigerian Press Council and the International Press Center. In Abuja, Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
The African Regional Coordinator, International Federation of Business and Professional Women, Adenike Adeyanju Osedolo, says child marriage is one issue that is seriously militating against Africa's efforts to meet the Millennium Development Goals. This was at a two-day train-the-trainer workshop on prevention of child marriage held in Abuja. Ifeanyi Ezumba reports.
The workshop, which is organized by Business and Professional Women Africa, is a multi-point approach to empowering adolescent girls, mobilizing communities and families against the practice of child marriage through public education. The trainers are expected to go back, train about 10 adolescent champions who will in turn impact on the communities.
Once we put our collective efforts together, concerted efforts, we can reduce, if we cannot eradicate completely, reduce the incidence of child marriage. Because no child deserves to be married before they are physically ready. We are developing a different kind of training which is focusing more on advocacy and coaching. At the moment we have 7 countries. In total we are actually running the program across 21 countries.
Some of the participants from Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire says information and government contribution will go a long way in addressing the issue of child marriage.
To give a law, for example, a law that can forbid the marriage of girls.
By the end of the pilot phase, they hope to achieve a shift on the mindset in terms of underlining courses for people who desire to go into child marriage and coaching for self-empowerment. Ifeanyi Ezumba, NTA News.
Engaging in continuous and constructive dialogue is the key to good governance. This is the view of the United Nations Security Council as Nigeria's president for the month of August, Professor Joy Ogu, opened consultations for the maintenance of international peace and security. Joy Osiago reports.
The United Nations Security Council noted the situation in Guinea-Bissau, which is likely to become a clog in the wheel of progress towards restoration of constitutional order after the elections in 2014. At a stakeout after the closed-door session, the chair of the council, Nigeria's Professor Joy Ubu, said the Security Council is aware of the ongoing tension between the President and the Prime Minister, while emphasizing the importance of unfluctuating and inclusive institutions for the people of Guinea-Bissau.
The members of the council call on all Guinea-Bissau's political leadership, including the President and the Prime Minister, to resume dialogue. The members of the council recall Resolution 2203 of 2015 and stress the importance of national reconciliation, inclusive dialogue and governance, and continued civilian control of government as essential for the attainment of lasting peace in Guinea-Bissau.
The President also recalled the Council's unflinching support for the authorities of Guinea-Bissau, stressing that the pledges made in March 2015 at the Brussels international donor conference will require a conducive political environment to come into being. From the United Nations headquarters in New York, Joy Osiago, NTA News.
Now to sports updates. Grassroots basket development set to receive a boost in Abuja as anti-doping issues continue to make headlines of this month's World Athletics Championship in Beijing. Kenny Emabodike takes it from here.
Over 200 students drawn from various government secondary schools across the Federal Capital Territory are gearing up for the Maiden and Song Talent Basketball Clinic scheduled for August 22 at the Package B section of the Abuja National Stadium. Organizer of the clinic, 22-year-old American-based basketballer Ifeanyi Onyekaba, says the program is aimed at promoting the sport at the grassroots.
So through our Song Talent Basketball, they will have the opportunity, and also the talents will not be taken for granted. The talents will be discovered.
Men's tennis world number 3 Andy Murray reached the third round of the Rogers Cup in Canada after a 6-4, 7-5 win over Spaniard Tommy Robredo. Should Murray reach the final in Montreal, he will replace Swiss Roger Federer as number 2 in the world rankings. Meanwhile, Rafael Nadal made an encouraging start to the hard-court campaign as the Spaniard recovered to defeat Sergei Stakhovsky 7-6, 6-3 on another day of weather trouble at the ATP Montreal Masters. Britain's double Tour de France champion Chris Froome has urged the International Association of Athletics Federation IAAF to follow cycling's lead and invest a lot of money into anti-doping. Although cycling has its drugs problems, but the ongoing doping allegations in athletics threaten to overshadow this month's World Championships in Beijing. The series of crises has not been helped by the fact that the IAAF is also in the midst of an election battle to replace long-standing President Lamin Diak with the two contenders, Ukrainian pole vault legend Sergei Bobka and British running great Sebastian Coe, trading promises to get tougher with cheats, while suggesting that the sport is being unfairly treated. With sports update, Kenny Emabodike, NTA News.
Before we go, a quick look at Friday's weather prospects in Nigeria and some world cities. And that concludes the news. Thanks for watching. I'm Taiwo Otubeso.